Okay, try number 2. Hopefully we actually have volume this time. So I might actually wait a moment and double check. So I'm going to actually cheat here just for a moment. I'm going to quickly... Can somebody, whoever is watching right at the moment, can they tell me if I actually have volume now? The biggest problem, of course, is that I can't easily... Okay, thank you, Dad. So, I've just spent like 17 minutes ranting for very little reason, because apparently nobody could hear me. That's about typical of me, especially when I'm in pain. So, as I was meaning to say before everybody couldn't hear me, earlier today I did a post basically where I called a bunch of people fuckwits. And I will stand by that, because on Facebook especially, though I've noticed it in a couple of other places, there are a lot of people saying that they will not buy Poppies this year because they do not want to support war. If you believe that buying the Poppy is symbolising that you support war, then sorry, you're a fuckwit. And there's no other way of putting it. The Poppy has never been about glorifying war. It's never been about supporting war. It's been about supporting those who sacrificed for their nation. It's been about remembering those who went to war and those who didn't return. The reason we use a red poppy is in the poem Flanders Field. It's also, if you actually bother doing any research, and it takes all of 5 minutes to type in why do we use a red poppy, and you'll get hits from both the British War Museum, the Australian War Museum, the French War Museum, the US War Museum, and basically just about every place you want to go. And they all will tell you that on the battlefields of France and the other places in and around Europe where the wars had been fought, the first thing that grew were poppies, namely red poppies. And if you stop and you look at that symbol, it becomes very, very powerful. If you have a red flower growing from the graves of those who have shed their blood basically to protect what they believed was worth protecting. In the case of the First World War, the best of a generation, so people from places like here, went out, they left. Most of them thought they were going on this grand adventure. None of them knew what war really was. They left, they went over, and they fought for king and country. They died for king and country in a lot of cases. And the first thing that sprung up on the grounds that had been shelled, shot, destroyed, were red poppies. Blood red poppies. That's the reason we wear the poppy. It symbolises the sacrifice of those people. Now, it is not military organisations that sell the poppy, okay? It's places like the Royal Servicemen's League or Service Persons League. Don't know what they actually call themselves these days. The YMCA in America, the various organisations in other countries, they sell the poppies. And if you actually look at the reason why they sell the poppies, it's to support the service people welfare and to support the memorials and other items to remember those who have sacrificed in the wars, both back in World War One all the way through to present times. So that's why I get very, very angry when I read something like I'm not buying a Poppy because I don't support war. You're not supporting war. You're supporting the people who have returned. You're supporting people like, say, Wayne, a friend of mine who went to Vietnam, who has come back. He may need, he might need help from others because of the events of that. Some of that money goes to things like that. I've got other friends who have gone to Iraq and Afghanistan and things like that. They need welfare and support and the like because, they've got issues that will crop up from those events. The Poppy helped the organisations to support those people. The memorials in places like France, here in Australia, Gallipoli, Germany, they all require money to maintain. The Poppies help support that. You'll notice that though every Remembrance Day, especially here in Australia, the RSL and the like does a really good job of trying to at least explain what the day is about. I really think in places like America and the like, maybe they really need somebody to start telling people what Armistice Day is meant to be about, because apparently there seems to be this disconnect on what people understand that this day is meant to be, because it's definitely not glorifying war. Yes, there seems to be this big problem today that especially young teens think that war is rainbow ponies and, I can respawn. They seem to have this disconnect that war is like it is on the computer games. And it's not. You just have to stop and talk to any of the vets. I was lucky in that. I mean, Dad and Mum both served in the military here, so you get to talk to people and you get to hear things from others, like the guys at the local RSL. I've heard from them. You get to read this amazing amounts of books and the like that Dad's handed me over the years. You get to talk to vets who actually were at World War One. Well, not World War One, not these days, but World War Two. World War One when I was growing up. There were still some alive from World War One when I was growing up. More World War Two. These days you get to talk to a lot who went to Vietnam. And in the case of people my age who have friends and the like who went to Iraq and Afghanistan and who have come back. And if you actually listen to them, you really, really quickly understand that the war for them doesn't end just because some treaty was signed. They have to fight the effects of that war over and over and over and over and over every night. And that requires welfare. I mean, yeah, sure, you've got the government, you've got government work agencies and the like who help. You got stuff like the Department of Veterans Affairs, but I know a lot of people who don't think the Department of Veterans Affairs in any country does a great job at it, and they turn to other places, which is things like the RSL, who use the Poppies for their welfare work. But the other one, especially for me, is the fact that the part that upsets me the most is the fact that people think it's for glorification. Because I don't know anyone who ever wants to glorify war. Not anybody who I know who's actually been to war. But I'm going to actually end this stream with this. In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below, we are the dead, short days ago, we lived, felt, drawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up your quarrel with the foe, to you from falling hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. That poem was written by John McCree after he actually went to the very fields where those poppies were growing. It was strong enough it moved somebody to write about it. It's one of the odes or poems that will be read on the 11th of the 11th normally, just like the ode, as we call it, the recitation, will also be likely written. Not written, read. So that's where I'm going to close out today's little rant. Seems I kind of, did a 45-minute rant to no sound. But yeah, for me, Remembrance Day isn't about glorifying war. It's about remembering the names on the memorial down at the corner here. It's about remembering the names like Barber, Bieber, McClellan, all of them. From Nandaly, from Sioux Lake, from Melbourne, from Sydney. Doesn't matter. They went off and they didn't come home. That's what wearing the poppy is about. That's what Remembrance Day is about. It's remembering them. The best of a generation and all those after who made the sacrifice and did not come home. So that's where I'll leave it, guys. Bye.